Hi folks, thanks for joining me for this week's Stillwater tutorial. What you see in the vise is a little chewing gum bubble booby. And I talked quite a bit about boobies in my live stream at the weekend there. So if you missed that, I'll stick a little link up in the bar there so that you can maybe have a look at it. It just discusses how I fish them, tactics that you can use to improve your booby fishing, and I think you'll enjoy it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. In the vise then is a Hanak H250 barbless hook. This one's at size 8, it's on a heavy wire and it's a bronze hook. The thread I'm going to be using today is uni thread. It's at 6/0 and as you can see it's a white thread. Now I've already given it a good coat of wax and I've run it through my fingers just to remove any of the excess wax. I'm going to run a bed of thread all the way down the shank to approximately where a barb would be on a barbed hook. Then come in with my snips and remove it. Okay, first of all we're going to add some tailing to this fly, and I'm using the Nature Spirits. This is the Fish Hunter Spey Marabou Steelhead Orange. Really bright, vibrant colour. You can, it's kind of washed out with the camera lighting, but it is really bright. Just take my word for it. I'm just going to take a little bit off the edge there. That feather's about done. I should have got a new one out really. And then I'm just going to twist up the end like so. And what I can do when I cut this away now, it's just easier to pick up and put in the bin. And that's why I put a twist in. Keeps the marabou together as well. Okay, lay it onto the shank and you can clamp right down on that. Like so. Don't be worried about all this mess. Thumb and forefinger of your right hand, clamp down and remove any excess. Now I always like to damp down my tail while I'm tying. It just keeps it a bit tidier. Now the body of this is the Troutline Wormie Chenille. This is the 3mm. So I've kind of misappropriated this material. It's designed for tying worms. And I think the first time I've seen this, it was from FNF, and they called it the chewing gum material. But I think a lot of anglers in the river fishing world started to use this as a way of getting round the banning of the squirmy wormy material. So they brought in this, and it's not similar. It's a very soft, squidgy material, and the idea was this would replace the squirmy wormy stuff, and I think for comp anglers it has. So that and chenille. So I've just caught that in. I'm going to bring it up to the front. I'm going to stop 1/4 of an inch for the eye. You've got to leave yourself plenty of space when you're tying boobies. Then I can bring up my body in touch and turns like so. Makes a really interesting body, this. I haven't actually fished this pattern, so I can't speak for its effectiveness, but you know, I think you just know when you've tied something that's going to work. Lock it into place and then you can take away your excess for the next fly. Okay, for the wing then, I'm using some comp candy, and this is the pink lemonade. So basically it's a candy floss material. Again, it's a great colour combination. This, you've got the hotness of the steelhead orange, and the comp candy is always a good bet for a wing. So I'm taking about a thumbnail's worth, and again I'm going to twist that up, take away my waste. Now I just like to damp down the ends so that I can get all the loose fibres out of the way. Just keeps it nice and tidy. then I can come over and capture that in place. Make sure you give this a really good clamping down on. The 6/0's a strong thread, so you can put quite a bit of pressure on. And what I've done is I've tied that all up at the front and made a nice space for where my booby eyes are going to go. Before we do that though, I want to come in with my thumb and forefinger and just pinch away that excess marabou. Again, I'm going to lick my thumb and forefinger, just get it all out the way. Now, I've got my pre-made Tic Tac, and again, if you haven't seen how I do this, I will stick a link up in the bar there so that you can have a look at that. People do it in all different ways. Some folk even stick it in the oven, believe it or not. But I don't do it like that. So I've got my Tic Tac. Now I'm going to lay it onto the thread. I'll try and do it on the camera, but lay it on about in the middle, bring over my thread in a loop, and then close it in. Make sure it's even. Now mine's aren't. I know you might not be able to see that, but mine's are slightly out, so I'm just going to do it again. You know, if you're not happy with something, with a turn, or just do it until you are. So I've got it in position now, and then I can simply make sure everything's out the way, wind up my booby eye. And that's come nicely on the top. It doesn't always come that neat and tidy onto the top, so you might have to do a bit of manipulation. And then I do 5 turns one way and then 5 turns the other way. Excuse my finger. And then once I've got them 5 turns to lock it into place in that figure of 8 motion, I do 2 or 3 wraps at the front before coming in with the whip finisher, or a half hitch if you prefer. And locking that into place. Then you can simply remove your waste. Now with boobies, I like to make sure they're absolutely solid. So what I do is, with my super glue, I get a bit off in my dubbing needle, like so, split the eye, and that'll soak right through, locking all that into position. On the underside, I'd just like to add a little bit of super glue to the thread. Just makes it a little bit more robust, so when fish start hitting it, it's going nowhere. So if you're of a mind to, you can add a little hot spot to the bottom, which I showed you in the video that I put on the screen at the start of this video, but I will stick it up there again just to remind you, and that can be a great trigger point for the fish. So there we go. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please think about clicking the button. I would really appreciate your support.